Bill Goldberg has about as many brain cells in his head as he does hairs on the top of his head. A lot of the boys used to have their traditions before a match, which in many ways was sort of a good thing, you know. It really did help you sort of get into character, get into that proper mindset before you go out there. I know Lex Luger tried to get a real pump going, get the blood going in his upper body so he really looked the part. Backlund would try to do 1,000 sit-ups while repeatedly reciting the Pledge of Allegiance before his music hit. I also know a lot of the boys used to make one last bathroom stop before their match. Davey, Curt Hennig, Marty Jannetty used to have really weak bladders, I think. They spent a lot of time in the washroom before going out there. I remember when I got to WCW, a lot of those sort of traditions were kinda gone, which I knew was a problem right there. The only guys I'd see doing any sort of pre-match routine was Alex Wright dancing a bit in the corner, or Diamond Dallas Page, who'd sort of just walk around the back shouting bang in people's face, then size them up for the diamond cutter for about a solid 20 minutes prior to his match. I remember just shaking my head at the lack of discipline these guys had, you know. One day after flying out to Nitro, only to have Eric Bischoff tell me I wasn't needed that night, I decided to head back to the locker room to grab my stuff. I could hear a lot of banging and shouting from down the hall. It wasn't uncommon for guys to get heated in the locker room and have a bit of a shoot, you know. I know my dad Stu used to say, if you won't shoot back here, you can't work out there. Which is sort of the old school shooter's way of saying you needed to really care about your character, live your gimmick all the time to be believable to the fans. So I thought I heard a bit of shouting, expecting maybe a few guys going at it. However, I got around the corner and there was Bill Goldberg, ramming his head into every locker he could find. He'd dent the locker with his head, then try to shrug it off sort of thing. I kinda went up to Bill and said, "Bill, what are you doing?" Bill explained it was part of his character to be a bit fired up, feel no pain, that sort of thing. I explained how he needed to take care of himself back here, as well as the guy he was working with out there, you know. I told him how he needed to be safe, and that's why a lot of the guys respected me. Bill just stood there, then said, "You might be respected, Hitman, but I'm undefeated," then rammed his head into the nearest locker. He snorted, then stormed out into the hallway, shouting, "Who's next?" before in a dazed stumble slightly into a nearby production assistant who held him up. I remember thinking, if that's how he treats himself backstage with no audience, I could only imagine what he'd do to me with a crowd out there. I should have known right then and there not to trust that dumb, sloppy piece of shit Bill Goldberg,